And talking about Mali, look at all the recruits they are doing. They are recruiting from neighboring African countries. Which faith do they belong? In the name of Islam.
Yes.
And destroying history and culture. It's so sad.
It is sad.
But you know, our people will turn around and oh no, but this is, they want to smile from both sides of their mouth. Those who are supposed to, they should read the Bible itself and read the Quran. You have also to understand that the ship, the boat,
right,
that brought the Bible and the Quran also carried the gun and rum.
Yes.
The Bible and Quran was on top. They hid the Bible, the Quran, they hid the rum, the drink, and then the gun under. And they gave them all to us. No questions asked, Your Honor. We just took it, swallowed it, hook, sink, bait, everything. And we can't question it. That's why we can't talk about it.
Unbelievable. On June 9th, there was a tribute to our ancestors on the boardwalk of Coney Island. I actually wanted to see Amanda there, but it was a very interesting. I have a DVD for you. Not today, but I'll make sure that you get one. These had something to do with Cudjoe. At least he got to the shores of America. Others didn't make it. An event like this, how do you mainly get information about events in the African American community?
Well, we don't get much information, but we have some contact with the Bronx Borough President's office and some mayoral offices in New Jersey. Okay. So once in a while we do get, you know, press releases and briefings and all that, but we didn't hear about this thing. We would definitely have been there. We would have loved to be part of it. This is the first time I'm hearing this.
Oh, okay.
We did not hear about it, but we have a website, amandlanews.com.
Okay.
And I think it's interactive. You can write comments, you know, post your comments and on it.
Okay.
So if people have events coming which serve the interest of the community, please. And of course, we have those, for those who know Amandla, I mean, if you don't have a website, you go to all these African stores, you pick them, it's free.
Oh, okay.
It's free, but they go so fast.
Okay.
That, you know.
All right. Now, Mr. Ayim, Colonel Joshua Ogden, just like Henry the Eighth of England, who broke the Roman Catholic doctrine on marriage, broke his own church's doctrine of no work on Sundays. So, both the Anglican Church as well as Trinity Church was created through violations of church doctrines. We know about King Henry VIII. Who was this guy, Colonel Joshua Ogden?
Colonel Josiah Ogden was influential man, white man in Newark, New Jersey. And he initially belonged to Old First Church, which I believe was the oldest church in Newark, New Jersey. And at that time, they observed religiously the Sabbath. On Sunday. This was, I think, 1730-something. The records show that there was very serious rainstorm around 1733, which devastated so many things.
Right.
After the rainstorm subsided, what he did, he jumped on his horse, went to his farms, and harvested his wheat. Because they were going to go bad.
Right.
People find out. To cut long story short, they kick him out for breaking church doctrine. And I think he said, well, if I don't have a church to go worship, I'll build one myself.
All right.
And he did, but he had followers. He had followers. It was they said it was a bitter tug of war.
Okay.
Between him and the pastor then of the sixth pastor at the old church was called Pastor Webb.
All right.
It was like Newark was turned like virtually upside down
like a civil war.
With the breakage of Ogden.
Okay.
And he established the Trinity Church, which incidentally Cudjoe also joined and died there. In fact, the record of Cudjoe's death, I found it in the handwritten records of the Trinity Church.
My goodness.
And it took me years. You know why? Because Cudjoe's slave master, Benjamin Cole, was one of the founders of the old First Church, which was a Presbyterian church.
Okay.
So intuitively, I was researching records from the old Presbyterian church about Cudjoe. I even went to, I did a few travels, Philadelphia, I think the street 5th and Lombardy, where they have Presbyterian records, deep, extensive records. I could not find Jack Cudjoe. However, I found some relatives of Jack Cudjoe in there, but I could not find this man in any of the church records. In fact, it led me, I relaxed a little bit, like out of frustrations. I didn't know it. And then I think it was an impulse. I went to where I did the major studies, which was the New Jersey Historical Society. I said, just give me all church records from that period. And I think after 4 months, I was able to find him there. When he died, and the pastor who recorded it, Reverend Powell, the date and his age, he gave his age probably, I quote, probably 100. Okay. So, but Colonel Ogden, interestingly, he and King Henry were not the first people to have broken church doctrines.
Okay.
In ancient Judea, there was one of their citizens called Mattathias.
Okay.
Mattathias. He was able to convince the Jews to fight to defend themselves on the Sabbath. Because prior to that, people would attack the Jews on their day of rest.
Right.
And they were losing heart. So this man said, no. He was able to convince them, and they fought. They started fighting to defend themselves.
Right.
And this Mattathias, his grandfather was called Asamoneus.
Okay.
And I need Professor Dakwa. Asamoneus.
It's almost like
Asamoneus, his descendants were called the Asamoneans.
Okay.
And I said, hold on a minute now. Is this not Asamoah? Later, these Asamoneans are the people who we call the Maccabees, who wrote, they also wrote a Bible.
Right.
Just before the time of Josephus, Flavius Josephus.
Right.
So I said, if Professor Dago was here, I said, Asamoneans, you know, his people were called Asamoneans. And I said, is this not Asamoah? Plus, if you look at the word Asamoah itself,
right.
Asa in Akan means war.
Okay.
Okay. And the Moa could be something else which I haven't looked at it critically. So I said, you know, so it brings me back to our original point of us trying to write our own culture and history. Because there are some things that if you see, it touches nerve.
Right.
Absolutely.
There are times that I wonder why intellectuals read. Even though I'm aware of the horrors of slavery, reading this book, your book, Cudjoe, Newark revolutionary soldier and first businessman. I had no idea that a slave master had the power to punish a slave who offended or who committed an offense, to have him whip his mother to death or his wife to miscarry.
Well, yes. And during the research, sometimes I got emotional. Sometimes I was welled up of anger and all kind of, stuff, because I believe it's only perverted minds that can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to understand that slaves were classified as properties. You have your vehicle. You can dump it, discard it, or use it. You can drive it through potholes if you want, mm-hmm. because it's your property.
Right.
And that is what they were doing to the slaves. I think in the prologue, I had tried to differentiate or distinguish African indentured servitude mm-hmm. and chattel slavery.
Right.
Because once again, most Europeans, they make mistakes and lump it all together. At least Ghana, or Gold Coast Ghana, or Africa in general, right. Slaves had rights.
Yes.
And the evidence is there. Look at the biblical Joseph. By his own deeds, mm-hmm. he was able to rise to become a prime minister. Do you think that could have been done during slave time here?
Mm-mm.
Well, here in America, we have democracy here now. Look at what they are trying to do to President Obama. So African slavery, I term it as like indentured servitude. Now, we never took anything away from them. They were not treated as properties. In fact, they were an integral part of the family. Mm-hmm. And they could inherit.
Right.
Now we have problems amongst many Akan royal families, small or big, with people with, indentured servitude or slave ancestry, holding onto the royal thrones now. Mm. Okay, he's back. And you have also to understand that, at least to my knowledge, this was the first time that a human being would treat a human being like that. And I'll tell you why. In ancient Judea, no one could take the life of any human being except through their Sanhedrin, mm-hmm. who were like judges, group of judges, who would pronounce capital punishment.
Right, brother, I am almost running out of time. I want to take this opportunity to thank you. I even lack the words to use to thank you for a grace and divine speech in African traditionalism. If anybody wants to get in touch with you concerning your book, how do they do it?
Well, the book, you can find it on Amazon.com.
Okay.
It's there, or Barnes and Nobles.
Okay.
But if you go to Amazon, you may be able to read some excerpts. I don't know whether it's still on there now. And my email is in the book.
Okay. And it's on there.
It's okay. Right. My email address, you can contact me. And you can also, once in a while, we write some things about it, except in our newspaper.
Right.
Amandla, AMANDLA, news.com. One word, amandlanews.com. So I'm available.
All right. Thank you, my brother.
You are very much welcome.
Thanks for coming.
You are very much welcome.
All right.
Yes.